Welcome to another episode of A Brother with Questions. I am your host, B. Period. Man, I appreciate y'all for joining me again. This has been an amazing journey for me. Just getting my thoughts out here, being bold enough to offer my thoughts on what's happening in the world. And I know we disagree, we agree sometimes, but that's part of the journey, man. It's a journey for me. Hopefully, it's a journey for you, man. Please like and subscribe to the channel, A Brother with Questions. We have a Facebook, we have a TikTok, we have Instagram. Like and subscribe to everything that we do. That is the only way we grow, and growing is what we're trying to do. Tonight, I have a reaction video for you guys. I have a reaction video for you. As you can see on the screen, I got my guy, Dr. Umar Johnson there. We're going to take a look, listen to what he has to say. You can see from the title, Black Billionaires versus White Billionaires. Let's take a listen what Dr. Umar has to say today.
You can't name me a single white billionaire, Chinese billionaire, Arab billionaire who doesn't employ at least 5 to 10,000 of his own race. Now show me a black billionaire who employs 5 to 10,000 of his own race. You know why you can't? Because the white billionaire says that my success must automatically reciprocate to my people, or I will be rejected by my people. Do you understand me? Black billionaires, they only are concerned about themselves and their family, and they simply want all the other black people to worship their wealth. You feel me? So they'll come in a ghetto with a big truck and a car, right? So they can be worshiped by blacks, but they don't want to empower blacks. Black millionaires and billionaires do not systemically empower other black people. Black celebrities do not systemically empower other black celebrities. White people do it as a rule of thumb. We hardly if ever do it. Look at Oprah. No disrespect. The richest woman in the history of North America, black or white, Oprah Winfrey. The richest woman in the history of North America. Regardless of race, I don't think she employs 5,000 of her own people. Black money and white money do not behave the same. That's why you'll never find a filthy rich white man marry a poor white woman. You will never find a filthy rich white man marry a poor white woman. Never. But a filthy rich black man, his ass can't wait to get the brokest snow bunny in Liberty City and make her the mother of his kids.
Oh, gosh, that's funny. So there it is, the white billionaire versus the black billionaire. Let's go ahead and stop sharing that for a moment. So let's talk about this. So I heard what he had to say, and I found it interesting. So I did some research. Is it true? That's what I wanted to know. I wanted to know if what he said was true. So I researched a couple of black billionaires. The richest black billionaire in America right now is Robert Smith, at least according to some of the stats that I looked at. I looked at his management team. I started there. For those that don't know, let me give a background on who Robert Smith is. For those that don't know, Robert Smith is an investment manager. So he owns a company that is called Vista Equity Partners. Vista Equity Partners. And basically, they invest in different companies, and then they hedge their investments. So they sell when those companies are doing great. They probably sell even when some of those companies are doing bad and still make a profit. But they invest in other companies is what they do. And so, richest black man in America right now. He is also, for those that may not remember, but a few years ago, he gave the commencement speech at Morehouse and ended up paying for the student debt for every graduate that graduated the year he did his commencement speech. So Robert Smith, that's who he is. So I started with his executive team, and looking at his executive team, the only, and again, I'm looking at black people. Okay, that's what I'm looking at. So the only black person on his executive team is himself. Okay, now he's not the only minority on the executive team, but he is the only black person on the executive team. Then I went and did some research on his company. And according to the research I did, about 10%, a little less than 10 actually, but we'll round it up. 10% of his company is black people. Okay. Now 57%, I think 50, let's say 57% of his company is white. And then we have some of the other, of course, ethnicities. Black is technically on the lower end because he even has a higher Hispanic or Latino population. Then I searched up a second billionaire. I went to Oprah. Everybody loves Oprah. Look, you see the smile on Oprah? Boy, I tell you, when Oprah put on some makeup, what? Woo! Don't. Nah, I ain't say no makeup. I said with the makeup. But so I looked at Oprah, and same thing. So, Oprah has the production studio that she has. And according to her stats that I was able to research, it said that about 10% of her staff is black. Again, upwards of 50 something percent of her staff is white. And then again, of course, others in between. Again, my blacks were on the lower end of hers as well. So then I went and, of course, everybody loves Tyler Perry. So I said, well, look, he's a billionaire. Let's check out Tyler. So I went and checked out Tyler Perry. And Tyler Perry, according to his, some research I did on him, now the majority of the people that work for him are black. So Tyler Perry is blackity black. Because it seemed like, according to the numbers I saw, upwards of 90% of the people that work for him are black. And so, for those that don't know, of course, Tyler Perry has a number of Madea movies, but he also owns a very large studio plot in Atlanta where he produces all of his content. Of course, Tyler Perry writes the majority of the content he creates as well. And so, again, it seems like upwards of 85 to 90% of the people he employs are black. One more time. I gotta go deep. We gotta go deep. Another guy, right? Robert L. Johnson, the gentleman who started BET, sold BET to Viacom, and is now doing other things. And so one of the things he does is he also started a company where he invests in other companies. And so I was looking at I could see his executive staff, couldn't see all his staff beyond that. But from what I saw of his executive staff, it looks like he's about 50-50 on his executive staff in terms of just black people on his executive staff. It looks like he has at least 2 women there and himself on the executive staff, along with a couple of the people who aren't necessarily black. So, looks like at least the majority of his executive staff is black. So thinking about what Dr. Umar said, at least 2 of those individuals are true to what Dr. Umar said. In that being that the majority of the people that they are employing are ultimately not black. Okay. And then if you go a layer deeper with with Robert Smith had, he's been married twice. The second wife, for sure, I don't know, she was a model, young model. No, she wasn't black, but she was a young model that he married and has been married to for a few years now. So again, from that perspective, what Dr. Umar said, she's not, a white girl from Liberty City, but to his point, she's not black. So when his wealth transfers, at least the woman who is going to be entitled to that initially will be his current wife, of course. So as I thought about that and as I looked at this research, I'm wondering why. Why is that? Why is it that black billionaires aren't employing the majority of black people within their companies? It's interesting because, again, research. I wanted to layer deep to see how this compared to some of the major white companies. majority-owned companies. So I compared Google. I looked at Google. I looked at Apple. I looked at Johnson and Johnson. I looked at was one other company that I looked at. Interesting enough, they all have the same percentages, or relatively the same percentages as Robert Smith and Oprah. When you look at the black people that they employ, they're around 10%. So, if you look at it, because, we criticize Facebook, we criticize Google, we criticize Apple, we criticize places like Johnson and Johnson for their inability to increase their minority populations. Are we criticizing Robert Smith and Oprah? Because why is it that black people, and I'm not necessarily saying that they should be singularly focused on employing other black people. I'm not saying that has to be there. I mean, I think if they did, would that be a good thing? I don't necessarily know it's a bad thing. But if they are essentially hiring at the same rates as other companies, and we're criticizing other companies, I'm wondering, why aren't we criticizing them? I mean, we celebrate Robert Smith for what he did when he paid the student debts at Morehouse. We celebrate Robert Smith for being the minority advocate or being a black billionaire. We even celebrate him because he's even tried to talk about different programs to increase funding for minority businesses. But when we look at what what his company employs, same thing for Oprah. Why is it that they're hiring at the same rate as majority-owned white companies? Why is it that their percentages of staff are no different than majority white companies? Why don't we see that? And what is it about Tyler Perry that he is singularly focused on hiring black people? Clearly, right? 85 to 90% of his staff, according to the stat that I read. So why is it he focused on that and they aren't? What is it that his goals are that differ from theirs? And I get that they're in two different businesses. Two totally different businesses. Obviously, Tyler Perry's in the entertainment business. And so he's looking to hire actors, writers, producers, right? And so from that perspective, is it that we're more available in those sectors than we are in the sector that a Robert Smith deals in, where he is more an investment firm? Are we not pursuing the type of education that we would need to qualify to become a part of a company like his? To where we understand numbers, where we understand business, where we can analyze numbers, where we can analyze the success and failure of businesses to be able to understand their value now and in the future. Are we not pursuing those types of degrees? I don't know. Because even one of the questions I saw with Tyler Perry, while he has a majority black people, I also noticed there was a stat that I saw that suggested when it comes to pay, he's not paying more. He's not paying, let's say, as much. I'll just say it that way. So he's paying, but he ain't paying like an NBC. Let's just say that. So the hit show on NBC and the hit show on BET, they don't make the same. The hit show on NBC might make you a millionaire. The hit show on BET look like it might put a couple $100,000 in your pocket. So it don't pay the same. But what is the difference in mindset? And is it that we're not trying to we're not trying as a black billionaire, if you will? We're not singularly focused on that? Or is it just that the opportunities that I need you to be in, you don't have the qualifications to make? And I think for me, I wonder if it's the latter. And here's why I say that. when we look at the type of things that black people want to do, I would say the top three things are entertainment, and that could be music, that could be acting, somewhere in there, and sports. And so, basketball, football, whatever. Why is it that seems to be the focus that we always take? Why don't we pursue the types of degrees that actually make money? So, why aren't we pursuing getting a graduate degree and become a doctor, a dentist, a nurse practitioner these days? Finance, accounting, to the point where we qualify for the type of job that would get us a job in an investment firm. I mean, if we're being honest, you have more of a chance to make it at an investment firm and make money than you do as an actor in Hollywood, that you'll be the next Lil Baby. You'll be the next Patrick Mahomes. You have more of a chance to do that in the financial sector, in the business sector, than you have anywhere else. So why aren't we pursuing these degrees at the same level we're pursuing sports? I'm not going to knock Robert Smith. I'm not, because I don't know him. And so I don't know that he's not actively pursuing hiring more black people into his company. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't know. But I do find it interesting that he hires at the same rate that other companies do. And I'm also wondering how many of us are qualified to have a position at his company. Now with Oprah, we're all over entertainment. So why don't she have more black people at her company? I don't know. I think as much as she promotes us, oh, I guess you could say maybe she don't promote us. I guess that's an argument too. But you would hope that she'd want to bring more of us along anyway. But why she hasn't done that, that is interesting. It's interesting that we haven't even asked the question. We just love her. I know she, she produces movies. I know she's got the new Color Purple coming out. And of course, that's a majority black cast and everything. But why aren't we at the company? Why aren't we, so she's over 50% white people, right? Why aren't we 30%? I mean, we're just talking about writers, actors, producers. We do that all the time. There's a bunch of us out there. I'm sure there's a bunch of us that are good at it too, great. So why, that for her, I do have a question about that. Definitely have a question about that. But Robert Smith, I'm wondering how many of us are prepared to go work at that company. Maybe there's 200,000 of us out there that are, and he's refused to hire us. I don't know. But it is a question. Why aren't our black billionaires and millionaires actively pursuing to increase the level of black people within their companies? And I'm not talking about hiring janitors. I'm talking about executives. I know for me, that's definitely going to be a goal of mine. I'm not saying I won't hire others, but I know I'm going to have a few of us. Because I think it's important that we bring each other up. I think it's important that if we're going to empower our community, that we invest back into the community when we have the opportunity to. And so whether that is, creating a business there, whether that is supporting someone who is creating a business there, the only solution to the problems that we have is going to be us getting back into our own communities. The communities that, quite frankly, a lot of y'all are coming from. Because most billionaires today, most black billionaires today came from poverty. Most black millionaires today came from poverty. So it's y'all are asking for people to go back and invest in the communities that you came from, but you aren't. And again, I had a conversation about this before. I ain't talking about turkey drives. Man, they got enough turkey drives. A lot of churches do turkey drives. They don't need the millionaire who came from this neighborhood to do a turkey drive too. If you want to do a turkey drive, give it to the church, let the church do a turkey drive. What are you doing to create more businesses? What are you doing to take the dilapidated buildings and make them into something that's going to be meaningful today and then, in 20 years in the future? What are you doing with the housing market to improve the housing market, to increase low-income housing or whatever it is that your specific community needs? What are you doing to create the businesses that are supporting these ideas? And again, I'm not telling anybody to go do this for free. That's not my point at all. Because anybody else you ask to go in there ain't doing it for free, so I'm not telling you to do it for free. I'm saying create a business that creates low-income housing that profits, so that you still make money, but it's your company that is going back in and doing the work. Why aren't we doing that? If we go to Africa and African billionaires, I don't know, a lot of them don't necessarily have a great track record either. They probably do employ more Africans, right? Because they're in Africa, so that becomes a little bit easier for them. But they don't have a track record of increasing the communities that they come from. So it's not even, Africans are doing it and we aren't. I don't think they're doing it either. I think they're enriching themselves as well and those around them. But why is that our mentality? Even with white people, I think he gives white people a bit too much credit in that they are purposely enriching the lives of their. I don't think they are. I mean, obviously, if a white person becomes a billionaire, the majority of the people in his company are probably going to be white, and so they're obviously going to benefit from that. But are they thinking, I got to help these white people out? I don't know. I think he might be giving some of them a bit more credit than they deserve. They're from America, so the majority of the people that they hire are white. So white people benefit from that, but is it? I think he might be giving them a bit much credit. But for us, I do think it's a problem when we don't do that, because that's the only way we're going to get ahead. And one of the conversations I'm tired of listening to is I'm tired of listening to millionaires complain about, number one, white people, number two, government, and what they're not doing or what they are doing to, quote unquote, not help the community. Because it's not their problem. I'm going to say it again. It's not their problem. It's our problem. If we don't care enough to change our own stuff, it's never going to change. When we get back in history to the communities that were destroyed by white people, those communities did not exist because of government funding, because some white guy helped. Those communities existed because there was a black person who had a vision for building a black community, and he did or she did the things that needed to be done in order to support that community. They put the resources behind the vision that they wanted to see, and they created something from nothing. Black Wall Street existed not because of government. It existed because black people had a goal and a vision. And so, where are those black people today? Where is the black person that says, I want a black Wall Street, here's $100 million to put it together? One of the things that I'll give credit to Jaylen Brown. He signed his $300 million contract and he said, I'm going to build a black Wall Street in Boston. Hey, man, I hope he does it. I look forward to seeing that he does. But I hope he puts more than $2 million behind it, too. This is the way we change. And I'm wondering, how long are we going to watch us enrich ourselves? Because we are becoming millionaires and billionaires. Well, not billionaires, but we are becoming millionaires, I think, at a faster pace today than 20 years ago. I think the internet is helping a lot. So how many of these same new millionaires, these old millionaires, some of these billionaires, how long is it before we truly go back into the most desolate places in the country, starting specifically with our major cities, and really pump 50, 60, $100 million into these neighborhoods to increase what they're doing? Last thing I'll say is this. I'm watching right now the city of Orlando transfer. They've been working on it last 15, 20 years. You're just seeing how they are creating new buildings downtown. A lot of it is renovations, of course. New paint jobs, new everything. And they are slowly buying up those places that we live. Yeah, we live. Waiting for the opportunity to transition them over. Here's the question. How many of us, and of course this happens all across the country in major cities, so Orlando's nothing special here. But the question is, how many of us are buying into these properties? And I'm not saying you have to keep the current residents. It's not here nor there. But how many of us are buying into these properties to renovate, because that's what they're going to do, and then bring in us to replace the us that left? Or buy some of these properties, create something new, low-income housing, middle-income housing, so that some of these people can move and still have a great, decent place to live in the neighborhood that they've always been in. I don't know the answer to the question, but this is the type of ideas, in my opinion, that we need to be working on. Are we? Or are we watching going, this ain't right? It's gonna happen. So why are we worried about what ain't right? You knew when they built a new stadium across the street from a liquor store that it was only a matter of time before the liquor store left, because you don't want a liquor store across from the stadium. I'm trying to sell you beer in the stadium. I don't need no liquor store across the street. It's counterproductive. So, do we own the liquor store building? And if not, why not? Because when they buy that building, they're going to pay at least twice what it's worth just to get you out. And if you're going to stay, why not transition the building to something that they want, that you can then also make money off of? I'm just saying, we're doing a lot of conversations about what it isn't, but what are we doing about what it is? You're doing a lot of conversation about how other people can be helping, but what are we doing about what we can be doing? Why aren't we doing the things that we say they should be? And if we aren't, shame on us. Not shame on them. Shoot, they doing what's called smart business. And I ain't mad. I'm never gonna be mad at smart business. It's smart business to go buy that, build that liquor store, because you know eventually the county gonna want it because they don't want a liquor store across from their brand new stadium. That's called smart business in my opinion. And the fact that we won't go do it and somebody else did, that just tells you how smart they are. The fact that you know that there's a dilapidated, four-door apartment right across the street from the brand new stadium, and we don't own the dilapidated building, that's a problem. Because we should own that dilapidated building. Because we know they're coming for that too. They're gonna pay twice what that's worth just to get you out. So why not pay the twice on that, buy the building, renovate the building, and then now you can keep it. And then if you want to put black people in there, put some black people in there. Instead of complaining about the fact that they're pushing us out. No, they're not pushing you out. They doing good business, and you're not smart enough to take advantage of good business. Or you are smart enough, but you don't want to do your people wrong per se. No, you got to do your people wrong. Set them up right. Again, let them stay in the building. But understand they're going to do better. Pay them new rents. Because rent got to change. I just, these are my thoughts. These are my thoughts. This is where my head's at. And so to wrap it up here, Umar is right, but I think he's right for different reasons. He's right that white billionaires are enhancing other white people. That probably is true. But are they doing it on purpose? I disagree. I don't think they are. I just think in America, the majority of people are white, so they hire white people. But I do think black billionaires should be more conscious of how they move, especially when they have conversations outside of their business about how concerned they are about the upliftment of their people. Because if that is true, then you should be uplifting your people within your own company. And then as you do for your own company, then you can do outside of your company. But it's hard to have those conversations when people can't see you doing it for yourself. And then lastly, when we do see that these same people aren't living up to a certain standard that we're holding other companies to, then it becomes responsible on us to call them out for it as well. Because if we can't hold ourselves accountable, how can we hold anybody else? And on that note, I'm your guy B period, man. I am done. Please like, subscribe to the channel. I hope I said something that caused you to think a little bit tonight. And on that note, I'm out.